Welcome to another episode of the Inalienable Right Guys. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by
the thing. We're going to talk about Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder. I wish those days could come back once more. This man sitting here talking about he want reparation. Okay, he was talking about that he don't want a position or nothing. They want reparation. So reparation is the topic of the day. But I like to start out thinking about talking to a dear friend of mine, a mutual friend, Mr. Paul. We ain't gonna call his last name, but he said we need to talk more about these things and let America know that there's some of us out here that our reparation is our hard work and the sweat of our brows and our honesty and decency and our morals and our integrity and our character. That's my reparation. But anyway, this man goes on and talks about reparation. So me and Mark, he kind of opened up a Pandora box there, and we want to know who gets what and how much I get. I know me as a black conservative, I know I ain't getting
Yeah. Biden said you weren't black, so if he wins, because that's what this is what we just got through watching the video because I was telling him about it, and he's talking about I think it was a campaign event in California, and Stevie Wonder's up there talking about supporting Biden and Harris, and that's what he says. I know that Biden is going to do it. He's going to give African Americans reparations. And so I told him, and we're sitting there talking about it, and we need to get this on tape because it doesn't make any sense.
What are you going? I know the super predators ain't getting nothing from Biden.
Yeah.
And those that he stood in the way of busing, they ain't getting much reparation. Again, it just playing with this topic. Who gets what and how much they can pay you to make you come up to the elite status or to make you confident that you are now a part of the American dream. What does it take? Because you got people that never had slaves, you got people that never been slaves and never knew a slave, and then you got people that freed slaves. But as Mark was saying about the other colors, they gonna stand back and rob the federal till and just throw out a bunch of money for what? Reparations.
That's the thing. It's like, okay, who are you going to tax? The millionaires and billionaires? I mean,
well, that's not who we are.
Yeah, and some of them are black.
Yeah.
50 Cent and some of these guys, are they going to get taxed extra too on their money? So they, and the thing that's silly is, okay, here Stevie Wonder, he's worth I think around 110 million is what I heard. What do you need reparations for? And he talks about how 400 years of work that we've done and we haven't got paid for.
Stevie Wonder did some work?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Who handed them the brick? Who handed them the hammer when the nail something? Ray Charles? Come on, man.
Yeah, come on, man.
But it's all about that.
You think he ever did something he didn't get paid for?
No. It's all about that victim mentality, man. Don't wait on this 40 acres and a mule. It's not. America's not built that way. Wake up, America.
No.
Wake up. This is not happening. And by any chance, that this sleepy, creepy man gets to him, or this sleazy woman that he calls the vice president gets in there, you watch how fast they turn away from that reparation talk. Because it's unfeasible. It don't exist. But in a word, look it up in a dictionary. Look it up and probably the biggest word that black community can use. What's the biggest word you can use? Reparation. Incarceration. Come on now. Don't let them play us like that. The hard work and dedication to your craft and your skills. Even some of the rappers that was illiterate that come from broken families are millionaires because they chased that American dream.
Hustle.
Yeah.
They got out there and hustled.
Yes, sir.
Whatever their hustle was.
That's right.
They
ain't trying to give you none of it neither. They ain't trying to put into the reparation till,
No.
Mm-hmm. So this is the subject me and Mark wanted to just toy around with a little bit.
I don't know. The only way they could do that is to tax everybody.
And they're doing that already.
Which is,
yeah. Joe Biden said he's going to do that.
There are, all the things they talk about, the free healthcare, free education, all these things that they want free are not free. Mm-hmm. We're going to get taxed. If they can implement those things, we're going to get taxed to death. Mm-hmm. And that's something that people don't understand either. Is, when you start giving people free stuff like that, it never works out right. Mm-hmm. There was a deal that I saw where they were talking about free education. One of these countries, Scandinavian countries, I guess, that they started doing that. Well, what happened was, of course, everybody starts getting taxed like crazy to pay for it. Well, they found out, of course, the more you make, the more you're going to get taxed.
That's it. Okay.
So, like the first generations that went out, that got the free educations or whatever, you had doctors and lawyers and engineers and all this other stuff. You had others too, but people are getting these good degrees or whatever, and then they go out in society and they start working. Well, they're making good money. They're making big bucks, Well, all of a sudden they're getting taxed twice as much as everybody else. So then other people in college realize, well, I don't want to get an engineering degree. I don't want to get a degree. I don't want to be a doctor or a lawyer, because if I do, I'm going to get taxed like crazy. So I'm going to get some other job that that's not going to be quite so,
right.
And
there goes your skill performance.
Yeah, all these jobs, all these ones that you really need. So then you got all these people that got, liberal arts education or whatever, mm-hmm. and nobody's going to education for, the jobs that you really need.
Yeah, and again, reparation, the concept is tied right into a victim mentality.
It is.
And to be honest, if you got to trace the family tree and go down the line and try to find somebody to give something to, it's just unorganized, unorthodox. It's impossible to me. So, but it sounds good, and they use it to divide us. And to one of the things I used to always say, Mark, is that the worst thing you can do to Elmo is put false hope in me. Mm-hmm. Have me waiting on something. I never forget when I was a little boy that I had a neighbor that I used to babysit their kids, and he used to always promise me a pellet gun. And I looked for that pellet gun for 2 or 3 years, and it never came through. But it just had me feel so, because I believed with all my heart that one day that was going to come to fruition or come to pass, and it never did. And this is what these politicians are doing to the black community, and when they label that victimhood on them. When they make them feel like they disenfranchised, or they don't have an opportunity, or don't have a choice, or and their decisions, or they're undersold by some crooked systemic racism, and then they throw in that what we call it stuff they teach in the class now, critical race theory. That automatic make them think they're victims. Yeah. You know what I mean? You man, if I thought I was a victim every time I walked out the door, man, I'd be a different human being, a different animal than that's sitting before you right now. And so, and if I were waiting on something and especially on the government, because even if the government did pass some hypothetical reparation, and you get ready to get yours, and say, press line 1 to speak to this, press line 2, you be sitting there for hours. I mean, you look at Medicare, Medicaid, and all these government programs that the elderly have to sit on the phone for hours waiting on just measly benefit, measly, something that can help them down the road. They waiting forever and a day. And now you got me sitting on the phone waiting for what? How much would be a fair amount of money for reparation? $2 million? Right?
I don't have a clue. Who's gonna figure that out?
Huh?
I don't have a clue. Who's gonna figure that out?
Well, I'm asking you, because I don't. So that's 2 people without a clue.
But what it reminds me of is, you remember when Obama got elected? Mm-hmm. I know there was a viral deal on the radio where this lady calls in and she was talking about how he was going to pay her car note, and he was going to pay her rent, and he was going to do all this other stuff, mm-hmm. And I'm just thinking, I was driving to work, and I heard, they played it, and I'm like, she doesn't have a clue. He's not going to do any of those things.
He didn't give her a Obama phone.
Yeah, there you go.
Limited
but I mean,
time.
He's not going to be able to do all that kind of stuff. Not like.
That's not the government.
I mean, it's like he's just going to hand you this stuff. Here's your money. Oh, here you go. No, that's not how it works. And so I think, if I remember right, several years later, I don't know, before he got elected again or after, but they actually got a hold of that lady again and talked to her, and she was so disillusioned. She was no longer Obama supporter and was so disillusioned by the whole thing. Because that's exactly what happened.
And that's what false hope.
Nothing happened. It's that false hope, exactly what you're talking about. That's what made me think of it. It's that false hope. And you're right. That's probably exactly what's going to happen. If Biden wins, we're still in la la land with this, but if he manages to get there, that's exactly what happened.
Exactly.
They'll forget all about, what was that? What?
Yeah.
I don't know. What? Thing? I don't know.
Let my people go. It'd be like
Let-
Moses.
forget
Let my
about that
people
so
go.
quick.
No. And this is like, how do they keep managing to pull this old trick off every 4 years?
Yeah.
This reparation trick.
Votes.
Mm-hmm.
Votes.
Okay.
That's what it is. Votes. They want. Hey, throw it in.
I know, but
that's what it is.
Yeah.
They throw that out there. They're dangling that carrot out there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Get you to vote. Vote for us. Vote for us. You're gonna get that reparation. We're gonna give you that reparation. Man, you ain't getting nothing.
I agree, man.
But they dangle that carrot out there for you. Come on, over here.
And it sounds good, man. Especially when Stevie Wonder, like I say, and I don't mean this disparagingly, but the man ain't never been able to see nothing, but he always hears. So his applause and the things he say, he's one of them sensual peoples, that he's listening, rocking back and forth, listening. Yeah, reparation and the crap. Woo, we gonna get everybody paid. Woo, and then all of a sudden, they throw a dinner for him and give him a Freedom Award at the White House and wait on the next 4 years because ain't nothing coming that way.
I know one thing. We won't be able to sit here and sing Ebony and Ivory because he'll sue us and he got more money than we'll ever have.
And I thought that's what he wanted.
We'll be sued into the poorhouse.
I thought that's what he wanted. Ebony and Ivory live together in perfect.
That's what he said he wanted.
Without reparations. What is wrong with it? Again, man, I don't know, man. It's a free country, man. It's a free country. Can I tell y'all that live? It's a free country.
The thing about these reparations is get out there and hustle and do
it ain't
your
gonna
thing.
happen.
And look where he is.
Yes, sir.
He got out there and did his thing and performed for people. And I'm sure he lives in a nice house in a gated community that's probably 95% white.
Man.
And, he wants to get out there and talk about reparations.
Right.
Crazy.
Right. Living a lifestyle of the rich and famous.
Exactly.
Again, and yet the same, like I was telling someone today, the policies of different administrations is what's going to make the difference in how you proceed in this country as far as prosperity. Because if you sitting back waiting on that false hope that the government gonna knock on your door, like a clearance house sweepstake or something, and say, "Here's your reparation." All right, you voted for me, and a big old check, with so much money. I'm just warning you. I'm just trying to wave the flag. Don't buy into that. No. Your reparation is that one good life you got, and that a healthy mind and a healthy body to get up and go get it. As Mark say, hustle. Get out there and get on. Early bird catches the worm. A man don't work. A man don't eat. All them good things. You can have the American dream. You might not, and get out of this class welfare. That you guys to keep up with the Joneses. Live. Thomas Sowell said it. He wrote a book about basic economics. Live within your means. I live in all my people around me have big houses and think it's, they better than the next man. A man live in a nice, quaint apartment and his bills are paid and he ain't worried about financial issues, and he's happy. So that that's your reparation. Your reparation is the life you have here in America, that the freedoms that we have. This is why we decided to do something like the inalienable right guys, and I'm glad Mark brought up the subject.
It reminds me, you talking about the houses and cars and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this, of course, the reparations thing has been talked about for years, right?
Yeah, right.
Remember back in the day when Cedric, the entertainer, said if y'all got reparations, all y'all be out driving big old Cadillacs and stuff like that. That's like, nowadays it's probably Lexus.
Yeah.
They probably everybody want a Lexus.
Mm-hmm. So
what you gonna do after that?
Exactly. How much?
You go buy you a Lexus or whatever. Maybe they give you enough to buy a house. I don't know. Like I say, we don't know how much they even plan, because there's no plan.
Yeah, and then they're gonna tax the house once they give you enough to buy.
Yeah. So how many get the Lexus and take it out the next weekend and wreck it, and then where are you then?
And that's funny you say that, because the more they move you up in the tax bracket, the more taxes you're gonna pay. Yeah, exactly. So it's all tied into going back to the pocket of the U.S. government. Mm-hmm. So how much is enough is enough.
Well, yeah, that's another thought too, because what happens when they give you this Lexus, right? So you get this $60,000-$70,000 car. Then at the end of the year you got to pay taxes on it. Yeah. And how you gonna pay taxes?
Well, that's gonna be reparation. We'll have to get some more reparation. I don't know, man. Whether the end, it's a never-ending story. And just a pit of lies to me, and I'm too much man to buy into that tomfoolery. That's what it is. But they do it every 4 years.
Trying to say you're very superstitious.
It's writing on the wall. You believe in something you don't understand. By definition, superstitious. Hey, that's ironic, ain't it? The man singing about superstition, peddling superstition.
Exactly. Oh man.
Well, we're about at our time limit. Mark finds a way to come up with some creative thinking.
I gotta keep it fun,
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone,
for another episode of The Healing Will Right Guys.
That's right.